Hey, Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Kakadash, Yahweh, who the word ignorantly calls God, Yahweh Shah, who the word ignorantly calls Jesus. I want to give them honor to the apostles of great millstone who are stopping this truth. I want to give a peace and blessings to the Akim across the four corners of the earth who teach this truth and risk their life to do so. It's going to be a quick video. Lord, the video's edifying. Lord, I can get something from this video. Quick video, Lord, is edifying to you, bros, that may come across. So we're going to get into Sirach, the second chapter, get a couple precepts here, and go from there. I had mentioned this chapter, I think in a video ago or a couple of videos ago, and I think it's necessary to be brought out, just because as times get harder, this is a chapter you want to remember, right? When things, you got mental, demons, you got whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's a war. It's a war, man, in this walk. Some days are easier than others. Some days are harder than others. Brothers go through it. You know what I mean? Just with getting ourselves right. It's not easy to get yourself right after years of being marinated in the bullshit, man. Okay? But that's no excuse. It's no excuse. And it's more the reason why we need Yahweh Shai. And we know better, right? We know better. Okay? We learned that we're learning this truth. Okay? We're learning it. Okay? And we're supposed to grow in it. Okay? And as we grow in it, the more the old man get pushed to pushed out. Okay? Stagnation is where, the old man could have more pull on you than he actually got. Remember, the spirit and the flesh war. Let me get that. Spirit. Spirit. Flesh. Flesh. Weak. This is Matthew 26:41. It says, "Watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." Okay? The flesh is weak, man. It's weak. It's never satisfied. Right? You got to know that about the flesh. It's never satisfied. You can't give it too much. You can't give it anything for it to be satisfied. Okay? It might be satisfied for the moment, but it's always going to crave more. And the crazy thing about the flesh is that you have a thing called dopamine, right? That gets released. Like dopamine, serotonin, and all these different things that gets released it's a chemical it's a feel-good chemical that get released in your brain, right? And your brain releases it to your body, right? And it make you feel good. And what happens is if those receptors go off, the dopamine is constantly going off, right? And you're feeding it's harder, right? It's harder to stimulate again. Like it always take more, like the next time for it to get, for you to have the dopamine effect. Like for instance, right? If you look at people who take drugs in the world, right? And, the first time they take a drug, it's always like the highest that they get. But the more they take that drug, the less it's going to have an effect on them unless they do more and more and more and more and more. Then the addict is formed. Okay? So the flesh is your enemy, man. Flesh is your enemy. And we need this truth to keep it in check. Period. Period, man. Okay? Let me get that. What Paul said. That would I do. That would I do. Right here. Right here. Romans 7 and I'll start at 15. It says, for that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that I do. Why? Because he in the flesh. We in the flesh, right? Matter of fact, let me get Romans 7 and get Romans 7 and what is that, 15 in the NLT. Bear with me, brethren. Papa Kashah. 15. Turn my okay. 15. Romans 7 and 15 in the NLT. It says, I don't really understand myself, for I want to do what is right, but I don't do it. Instead, I do what I hate. But if I know that what I am doing is wrong, this shows that I agree that the law is good. So I am not the one doing wrong. It is sin living in me that does it. It's the flesh. Okay? It says, and I know that nothing good lives in me, that is, in my sinful nature. I want to do what is right, but I can't. Right? But guess what? Paul also said, because keeping the law, is the righteous thing to do. Right? But what did Paul say? He said, do we make void the law? Because we're not saved by it, right? But does that mean we don't keep it? Does that mean we don't try? No. He said we establish it. Okay? Said, God forbid right here. It says, Romans 3 and 31, it says, do we then make void the law through faith? The Most High forbid. Yeah, we establish the law, so we establish it. We don't make void the law through faith. Like, you can't say, that's it's part of works too. You know what I'm saying? You can't say, oh, you a God-fearing man, you this and you that, but you're, breaking the law. Every chance you get, you this and that, I don't care about it. Well, look, a man of the Lord will be trying to live as righteous as possible. A man of the Lord will be trying to live as righteous as possible. How do you live right? Well, the law. How do you love the Lord? The law. Right? You got to keep it to the best of your ability. But guess what? This shows that we need Yahweh Shai. Okay? We need Yahweh Shai. And that's the beauty of this truth. Okay? Because, yeah, we sinful. We in the flesh. We this, we that. But if we be those men, then we have grace through the Lord. Okay? That was the sacrifice. And the Lord is the mediator between man and the Most High. Okay? The Most High don't look upon wickedness, man. Okay? You got to remember that. You can't, in your sinful nature, man, you can't, how you think you just got access to stop it, man. We need Yahweh Shai. We need Yahweh Shai. We wouldn't know this truth if we didn't have Yahweh Shai. We wouldn't know it. Period. If he didn't do what he did, we wouldn't know. We would be in a world, man. It would, Israel would be doomed, man. Okay? We wouldn't know the truth. We wouldn't know none of that if it wasn't for the Lord. Okay? If it wasn't for Yahweh Shai. Okay? Our Lord. Let me grab Sirach, the second chapter. This is Sirach 2 and 1. This is, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure and make not haste in the time of trouble. Yeah. So prepare your soul for temptation, man. You're going to be tempted. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be bothered with certain things that you've done and certain things that you go through and certain sins it's harder to get rid of. And, but it says set thy heart aright and constantly endure. You got to constantly endure, right? You got to constantly endure. Okay, it says, make not haste in the time of trouble, cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at that last end. See? It says, whatsoever is brought upon. As a matter of fact, Salakia, let me get a precept for 3. That you may be increased at your last end. Let me get Micah 7 and 9. It says, no, 8. It's like I started at 7. It says, therefore I will look unto the Lord Yahweh. I will wait for the Most High, power of my salvation. My power will hear me. Rejoice not against me on mine enemy when I fall. I shall arise. When I sit in darkness, the Lord Yahweh shall be a light unto me. I will bear the indignation of the Lord Yahweh because I have sinned against him. This is the mindset brothers got, right? Bearing the indignation until he plead my cause and execute judgment for me. He will bring me forth to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness. Okay? So what? I will bear the indignation because we have sinned. Okay? Until the Lord plead our cause. Okay? And execute judgment for us. Man, this is the mindset we have. Okay? This is the mindset you have to have in its truth. See, a nigga coming to truth and don't understand, oh man, why this and that and woo woo, blah, 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 and the world don't like me and all this shit and all that. Okay, cool. The world didn't like the Lord. And what? And what, man? At the end of the day, if we be those men, we're going to be in power. We're going to be in power. Everybody's going to be subject unto us. If we be those men, all these nations to be subject unto us. If we be those men, somebody got to be the elect. All the nations will be subject unto the Lord's men, man. And Israel will be running the next kingdom that should never be overthrown, just like it says in Daniel. Okay, Sirach 2 and 4 says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take, it's like I started 3 again. It says, cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at that last end. So bear the indignation. Okay, 4 says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Believe in him, and he will help thee. Order thy way aright, and trust in him. Ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy, and go not aside, lest ye fall. Ye that fear the Lord, believe him, and your reward shall not fail. It says, ye that fear the Lord, hope for good, and for everlasting joy and mercy. Look at the generations of old, and see that ever any trust in the Lord, and what's confounded. See, how you look at the generations of old when you read the scriptures. Okay, read men of the Lord, different testimonies from the man of the Lord, man. Read them. Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken, or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long suffering, and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins, and saveth in the time of affliction. Okay, you have to remember this. It says, and I'm speaking to myself first and foremost. Okay, it says, woe be to the fearful hearts and faint hands, and the sinner that goeth 2 ways. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not, therefore shall he not be defended. Right? Hey, if you faint-hearted, which is really feminine, right? You don't believe. Therefore, you're not going to be defended. You have to believe. You have to believe. If you pray, and you doubt when you pray, it won't be heard. Okay, it says, they that fear the Lord will not disobey his word, and they that love him will keep his ways. They that fear the Lord will seek that which is well-pleasing unto him, and they that love him shall be filled with the law. They that fear the Lord will prepare their hearts and humble their souls in his sight, saying, we will fall into the hands of the Lord and not into the hands of men, for as his majesty, so is his mercy. Okay? These, powerful, powerful, powerful jewels for your crown, man. You have to remember this. And I'm speaking to myself first and foremost. Okay? Sirach, the 2nd chapter, man. Okay, let me grab what is that? Sirach 14, I believe, and 12. And yeah, it's like in 2. This is Sirach 14 and 2. It says, blessed is he whose conscience had not condemned him, and who was not fallen from his hope in the Lord. So blessed is the man that conscience have not condemned him. Don't let your mind, the brain is a powerful, tricky thing, and it loves to be comfortable. And it would do anything to be comfortable. It would talk you out of things. It would, you know what I'm saying? It would lead you astray. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, you'll hear things. You'll want to, Satan be fucking with you, man. But you have to remember the scriptures. And and it's easier said than done, but get your mind in check, man. First. Okay? So with that, man, Lonely Videos edifying Lonely. I got something from this video. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakadash. I want to tell you, brothers, keep pushing on to the next. Shalom.